Street Fighter 6 brings the legendary series to Capcom's fantastic RE engine and revolutionises the genre with an unprecedented amount of single-player content, all while being the most newcomer-friendly fighter I think I've ever played. Capcom's flagship series was fumbling with Street Fighter V, which despite some great aspects, such as the roster and music, released underbaked. Missing core features at launch like an arcade mode, it was a full-price release that felt bare bones by free-to-play standards. The series was losing popularity and even lost out on the final slot at EVO tournaments, something that had been exclusively reserved for Street Fighter historically. Everything about Street Fighter 6 feels like a reaction to Street Fighter 5. That much is clear from the moment you boot up the game. While Street Fighter V had mediocre online and solo modes at launch, Street Fighter 6 has so many modes that the game is split up into 3 segments. The core game mode of Street Fighter 6 is Fighting Ground, which features all of the fighting game fixings you know and love like arcade, training and combo practice. These are bolstered by a Tekken-style team battle mode where you can draft teams of fighters, and Extreme Battle, which blends classic Street Fighter with party games like Smash Bros. But the real meat of the game is the classic 1v1 gameplay, and Street Fighter 6's take on it has officially dethroned Street Fighter 3 Third Strike to become my favourite in the series because of it. Street Fighter 6's central mechanic is the drive system, which houses some of your best moves like Drive Impact and Overdrive moves, both which offer up more damage and combo potential. Drive Impact is a strong attack which can absorb hits and open an enemy up for combos. Overdrive is functionally the same as EX moves from past games, powering up your special moves, but takes away from your drive gauge rather than your super meter. Your drive gauge is situated under your health and is represented by 6 blocks, with each drive move using up a specific amount of blocks. Once the gauge is empty, you enter Burnout and are opened up to be stunned. You can't use any drive moves while in Burnout, and you need to wait until it refills. This makes for some intense fights as you measure the risk versus reward of using these powerful attacks. Street Fighter 6 takes some elements from previous entries and blends them together into a satisfying mix of the series' best mechanics. Street Fighter 3's parries return in the form of Drive Parry, and each character has 3 unique super moves available like in the Street Fighter Alpha series. On top of that, Drive Impact and Drive Rush feel like natural extensions of Street Fighter 4's armoured Focus Attack and Focus Attack Dash cancels respectively. For those new to the series or keen on picking up a new main, there's the excellent character guides which offer up the type of character tutorial you usually have to scour the internet for. These teach you the basics such as how to use your specials, while also showing your best pokes, combo starters, enders and a general game plan. Meanwhile, there's 2 new control types, Modern and Dynamic. The former takes the execution barrier out of special moves, replacing them with a button press, while the latter is a total party game mode which throws out attacks and combos for you. While returning players are likely to stick with the classic controls, these additions remove a huge barrier of entry both in terms of the steep learning curve as well as accessibility for those physically unable to perform these complex inputs. While it's disappointing to see Capcom rely on the original Street Fighter 2 roster for another entry, this is the best the cast has felt in ages. In the interest of being fair to the lineup, I spent time with even characters I've historically avoided like DJ and E Honda. Thanks to a load of gameplay tweaks such as the global removal of piano inputs, I'd maybe consider picking them up as a main. Plus, design-wise, the roster has never looked better. Just look at Cammy, Ken and E Honda and compare them to their Street Fighter V counterparts. No more banana hair. In terms of new faces, Capcom has knocked it out of the park with the roster of newcomers for Street Fighter 6. As much as I love the cast of Street Fighter 3, Luke, Jamie, Kimberly, Manon, Lily, Marisa and JP feel like a true new generation, with none of them feeling out of place such as characters did in Street Fighter 5. Plus, every character is oozing with personality between details in their in-game depiction and the ability for you to pull silly faces while a match loads. The Street Fighter 6 World Tour is arguably the biggest new addition to make its debut in the series. It's an in-depth single-player story mode and plays like an RPG akin to the likes of Sega's Yakuza series. While it's a bit basic by modern open-world design, it's also a stealthy tutorial to help players prepare for the real deal. For the first time in series history, you'll create your own character and travel across the world to learn from iconic characters from the series. You'll trot your way around the globe while pursuing your former teammate in training Bosch, who has gotten himself wrapped up in some trouble, with the player's own quest for strength taking a bit of a backseat to try and find your pal. Oh, and of course this is all wrapped up in a bizarre evil plot somehow. This mode has 2 open world maps, Final Fights Metro City and Nashao, which are both full of little secrets and nods, while the mode's other countries are far less in depth and are home to a small stage featuring their own hometown fighter. As you learn from more masters, you can mix and match moves you acquire to make your dream fighter. If you want to put together some extremely busted combos, you can. The trailers seem to imply that the 18 playable Street Fighter characters will be joining you on this journey, but the truth is, there's only really one who's important to the plot and the rest is filled up with unique characters not found in other segments of the game. Regardless, the story is still enjoyable enough and the mode contains some great nods for longtime fans of Street Fighter and Final Fight, with out-of-left-field character appearances. However, others who aren't as into the bizarre Street Fighter lore may get a little bit less from this mode. While the mission design can be a bit generic, often becoming a go here, fight / speak to someone, repeat, the mode doubles as a subtle tutorial for the real game, including a lot of the side quests which will teach you some of the more advanced techniques the game has to offer. Flaws aside, World Tour takes things to a new level for fighting game story modes, the same way Mortal Kombat did with its cinematic story mode back in 2011. It once again represents the antithesis of Street Fighter V by offering more single player content than we've ever seen in a fighting game. You will manage to have a great time with Street Fighter VI without even interacting with the online modes. The final main mode of Street Fighter VI is the Battle Hub, where the game's online features are housed. The Battle Hub is an online lobby for players to take their avatars into. In here, there's a ton of arcade machines for matches, you can do battle with your World Tour avatars, as well as participate in tournaments and spectate other fighters. Overall, it's quite a fun interface for interacting with the community. You can also ignore it and just queue for ranked and casual matches from Fighting Ground if you want, but you'll miss out on all of the nightmarish creations people have made with the super in-depth avatar creation. To get the most important thing out of the way, the netcode is good. Even playing against people in the west coast of the US, I was experiencing a solid matchup with near flawless matches against players in the UK and Europe. Obviously, no netcode will be perfect, but it's far beyond the shoddy rollback found in Street Fighter V. It's worth noting that there are references to an in-game store and battle pass with free and premium tiers in the game's tip menus. And as we saw during the beta, there's a normal and paid currency in-game. However, these were unavailable during the review period. Any items such as avatar gear bought with this currency will be cosmetic only according to Capcom. You can unlock one alternate costume for each fighter during World Tour mode, but I can only assume colours and further cosmetics will be included in these. Visually, the game is as grand as we've come to expect from Capcom's brilliant RE engine. The game opts for a more realistic art style than past entries, but manages to keep things as vibrant as ever thanks to great character and effect design. It's packed with charm thanks to small details like the surprisingly insightful commentary, pulling silly faces on the loading screen, and the soundtrack which finally brings hip-hop back to the series. Street Fighter VI is the game I've been waiting for. I liked Street Fighter V more than most, but it was clear it wasn't all there, and Street Fighter VI feels like it's here to send a message that it's still the top dog of the fighting game genre. Capcom has been on a roll in recent years with phenomenal revivals of Resident Evil and Devil May Cry. Even the niche Monster Hunter series finally hit the big time outside of Japan, and now it feels like Street Fighter is finally back alongside them as a heavy hitter. Overall, I have to give this game a shiny 5 out of 5. It is absolutely fantastic. The game will be launching on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on June 2nd. Thank you so much for joining me, Jasmine, from the Mirror Gaming team for our review of Street Fighter VI. Be sure to like and subscribe for more gaming reviews coming soon. Thank you so much and goodbye.